Well, in a film that's being called a biting satire to racial politics, the film is called Dear White People, and it's garnering all sorts of buzz and awards at all the different festivals. And here today we have the director, Justin Simien, and he's here to talk about it. Hi, how are you?
Hey.
Okay, so listen.
How's it going?
Before I get all of my Caucasian friend viewers out there calling, wanting me off the air, explain what this movie is about.
So, the movie is about these 4 black kids that go to a predominantly white college, and they're kind of sort of trying to figure out their identity in a world that doesn't necessarily reflect who they are. And the title, Dear White People, refers to a radio show on campus, a very controversial radio show on campus that all the black characters in the film are kind of disagreeing about. But it's started by a character named Samantha White, who sort of wants to call, her white classmates out on microaggressions, little faux pas.
And let's just say, without giving anything away, that she's probably the last person that should be sitting there doing that, right? She's got some issues going on, too.
She's got some complicated issues, but they all do, know. And it's really about the humanness of the black experience and the fact that we're all kind of having the same identity crisis as the rest of humanity.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I loved about this film, you know what it reminded me of while I was watching it? Old school movies like School Days.
Yeah.
And I know you're getting some comparisons to Spike Lee and a lot of his movies. Where does a concept like this come up in your head? Like, where did this idea come from? And you're like, I've got to get this on film.
Well, I was inspired by those movies. Who isn't? Especially if you're a black filmmaker. Spike Lee was a huge inspiration, but so was Robert Townsend, and sort of movies like Love Jones, and just I love the sort of the art house, the black art house that was happening in the late '80s, early '90s, and that conversational film that was just meant to be about, the modern human experience and the human condition through a black lens. And I wanted to contribute to that, and I wanted to sort of say something new with it, and I wanted to bring forth the conversation that I was having with my friends about the ways in which we sort of toggle our black identities up and down to suit the situation. I thought that'd be an interesting thing to explore.
I love it, and in 2014, it's so interesting. A lot of people think we shouldn't be having these conversations anymore. A lot of people think that these conversations these issues aren't even issues anymore, which is always interesting. And I think you do such a great job at being able to laugh at some of these things, because then it makes us realize how ridiculous we're being, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted this movie to sort of take place in a world that feels a lot like the America I live in anyway.
Right.
Where, no one's sort of overtly racist, no one is sort of, saying black people are terrible or anything like that, but there was this denial that people of color are having a slightly different, more complicated experience because of their race. And, I wanted it to take place in this campus that thought of itself as post-racial and, sort of beyond these issues, and get into what happens when the issues are actually just being denied, and that was a lot of fun.
Well, I think it's so reflective of, like you said, what we're seeing in society these days, and I think that is definitely resonating with your audiences because, of course, you won an award at Sundance, correct?
Yes,
Tell me about that.
So we premiered at Sundance, which is always a dream. This was my first film. It was my first time in Sundance, and obviously, with the movie like Dear White People, we weren't sure how we weren't sure how it was going to land up in Utah. But it played extremely well, and winning that award was such a surprise and such a wonderful moment. And I just found out that we were actually nominated for 2 Gotham Awards, which is huge. One for myself as director, and one for Tessa Thompson, who is Samantha White in the film.
That is amazing. And of course, I did read that Variety magazine has actually recognized you as well as one of the 10 sort of upcoming directors.
Yes.
So, I mean, my point is, this is legit. You are kind of a big deal, and I feel like we're getting you in here on, at the ground level. So when you just completely blow up, you have to make sure you come. I'm dead serious. You're gonna have to come back and see it.
I'd love to.
Let us know how this movie's going. What's next? What's your next project?
Well, I'm still in Dear White People mode right now.
Sounds so fun.
I know. I wrote a book called Dear White People, an interracial guide to post-racial America.
Love it.
So, the book is hitting stores this week, actually. You can buy it now. And I think Dear White People should be a TV show, don't you? I think there should be a different world for our generation. So.
And with some of the things we are seeing on TV now, I think that's definitely something that could happen. I think
it'd be
you need
great.
to work on that.
I think it'd be great. And then, of course, I'm working on my next film. So.
Hey. Okay, well, you'll have to come back and see it.
That's right. I'd love to.
All right, I love it. Well,
to.
you can see Dear White People in theaters now. For tickets and showtimes, just log on to thebroadcasttv.com and click on today's links. All right, we're back with our final thoughts right after this.